Good afternoon, everyone. We're just going to take a moment to make sure we can be heard in the Zoom webinar. Matthew, by chance, are you available, or Jake?
Yes, we're hearing you loud and clear, Sam. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Okay, Chair Pyska, we are ready to begin.
Sam, we're ready. Okay, welcome back from our lunch break. We are going to move on to our 6.8 item at 1 p.m. presentation by the Cobb Municipal Advisory Council, the Cobb Area Council, and we have Kathy McCarthy, and you can come join us up here for the presentation. And on your way up, I'll just explain that Johanna, our clerk, is reaching out to a lot of our advisory councils so they can come and give us a presentation and let us know what they're working on. Welcome, Kathy.
Hi, thank you for having me. Sure. Oh, share? Yeah. Well, where's the little button? Oh, I think up there next to the sign it says share. No, not share. This is slideshow.
It's grayed out.
There you go. Oh,
Yeah, it's grayed out.
something went wrong.
I think it looks great.
Yeah, it's probably fine. Okay. You see all my notes. No, it's okay. That's fine. All right, well, this is my Google Slides presentation because that's what I'm familiar with because in real life, I'm a teacher at Riviera Elementary School, and being chair of Cobb Area Council is what I get to do for fun. We can go to the next slide. There you go. And so this is a sample of an agenda for a regular Thursday meeting. We meet the third Thursday of the month at 6:30 p.m. at the Little Red Schoolhouse. And so what I thought I would do is just kind of run through an agenda and tell you what we've been doing historically and what we're up to right now. And you can go ahead, next slide. This is our, the first couple of items, our roll call and the pledge, and then we approve our agenda and minutes. And I put this in there because I wanted to really just acknowledge that we've got this great, outstanding team of people that do volunteer every month and spend plenty of hours outside of these meetings on Cobb Area Council business. Currently, we have myself and Jake Strickler as our vice chair, Chris Nettles, our treasurer, Darlene Warner, our secretary, Joe Schneider is at large, and Mel McMurrin is our alternate. And our previous board members, I call them the Hall of Fame. As you can see, some pretty famous names there. Thank you, Jessica Peiska and Cindy Leonard, Frank Lincoln, Elliot Hurwitz, Gary Prather, Barbara Flynn, Ron Haskett, and Jessica Lytle. And we've had a quorum, to the best of my knowledge, at every meeting since 2016. We've received the Brown Act training in 2023. I wanted to point out that starting in May of 2020, during the shutdown, we moved to online public meetings in an effort to keep our community connected and well-informed. And as things began to open back up, we continued with a hybrid meeting format because we found that that gave a lot more people access to the meetings. They could either Zoom, and then as we also live stream on Facebook, people could put comments, and we even had one community member posted to read comments on Facebook and ask the questions as they came up. So it's given a lot of people a chance to participate and see what's going on in our community. And just also wanted to mention that there's just like this wide variety of people that come together to make this council. We have myself, there's business owners, a spiritual leader, someone's retired. We even have a former radio personality. So it's just, I don't know, it's an eclectic mix, but we all make it work together. The 640 item is like almost every meeting, Supervisor Peiska is able to come and give us some pertinent information about what she's been doing and address issues of interest to us in Cobb. It's been a really a meaningful dialogue that she has with us, and we appreciate that. She makes herself immediately accessible. You don't have to feel like, oh, this isn't something that she's saying to put me off. She gives out her email address all the time. She's like, call me, email me, let me know what I can do to help. And it's funny, we put her kind of early in the agenda. I think she's going to leave and go home and be with her family, but she's dedicated and she sticks around every time, which we appreciate. She just seems like she either knows all the answers or knows how to find them appropriately, and she's our own natural resource. And I appreciate that she shares herself generously with us. After Supervisor Peiska's comments, we usually have Chief Paul Duncan come up with our fire season update. He keeps us informed of seasonal preparations and programs. He reports on active situations. There might be fire or a snowstorm. It's a couple times, and he was zooming in from an actual fire incident that they were on and letting us know what we should be aware of. He just continues to go above and beyond and communicate with our council and the rest of Cobb, and we appreciate that too. We've had several guest presenters. We've had folks from County of Lake come to present. Lars was there about Parks and Trails, Terry Logston recently, Maria Turner, Sheriff Howe, we all got to meet. We have our Cobb Mountain Water Department mixed some regular appearances. We've had representatives from PG&E and even Caltrans. I wanted to take a moment to just expound on that. Caltrans needed to do some bridge work on Highway 175, and it would basically sever our main artery while that construction's going on. And we were able to sit down with them and give them input, and they listened to our concerns about having our major thoroughfare impacted right in the middle of fire season. And as those conversations went on, they came back to tell us that our suggestions and our concerns have gone on to influence their policy and their project planning throughout California, throughout all of their plans that they're making in fire-prone areas. So I felt like here's just another way that little Cobb is able to make an impact in the rest of California and keeping other communities safe. This next month, we're having a business come to visit Open Mountain Energy, formerly Bottle Rock Power, so we get to learn a little bit more about what they're up to. We've had Lake County Broadband Services, Mandala Springs, just businesses will come and let us know what's going on and what's available to us. Other items of interest that have been presented were this incredible presentation about bark beetles and their impact on tree mortality. And one of our favorite conversations to have was the hazardous vegetation ordinance. When that was being drafted, we were able to put a lot of input into that ordinance. The 720 item, treasurer's report, and we have something unique here that you might not see in other advisory commissions, and that is somewhat of a significant budget. I'll just share this with you that at the April meeting, our operating budget was $22,585.61. In the past 30 days, we've paid rent at the hub, which I'll explain in a moment, and a water bill for $35. And so our current account balances are $12,632.99 in our general fund, $7,000 in our Blackberry Cobbler Festival Fund, $2,417.62 in our Emergency Preparedness Fund for that overall operating budget balance of $22,050.61. And then as an aside, and again, I'll talk more about this in a moment, we have a small business loan fund with a balance of $48,082.63. So how did we arrive at this, you might be wondering. I think it kind of started with the Cobb Safe and Cobb Resilient workshops that we had in 2017, 18, 19. We had two each year, and these were primarily, actually we can go to the next slide for this. These were primarily for community wildfire preparedness and also recovering from wildfire. Like we even had people coming in to say, these are the plants you should grow. These are not the plants you should plant. So as people were re-landscaping and recreating their homes, they could keep wildfire preparedness in mind. And so those several one-day events morphed into the idea of our resource hub, where instead of having 1 or 2 days throughout the year, this information would be available to visitors and residents throughout the year. And we opened that resource hub on June 13th with our ribbon cutting ceremony and our drive-through event, which you will notice it was during the COVID times, so it had to be a drive-through event. And so those grants and such that initially were for these workshops, these one-day workshops, morphed into this hub situation, which now we are trying to keep going partly through our more grants and our general fund. In the meantime, our Economic Development Committee, not only trying to drive our local economy, but also bring some fun back to Cobb, started a few projects. The first thing that we did was a t-shirt contest. You can see a picture of our t-shirt contest artists and winners. And those became shirts that folks, that we could actually farm out to our local businesses. people could buy some Cobb merchandise, and it would be something for our local businesses to have on hand and just, promote people coming in. You could find these at the coffee shop. You could find them at the grocery stores, both coffee shops, and I think we even had some at the gas station at one point. And anyway, that same summer, we had our Cobb Village Night, which coincided with National Night Out. And we had we convinced the coffee shop, Mountain High, to stay open. A little bit later, we had a little, I guess it was an open mic situation. The pizza parlor, they were running a special. Hardesters was just, reliable as usual. And we even brought in a local caterer who was vending some delicious things on the street there. And it was just to, generate people being in the neighborhood and hanging out. And the pizza place reported that night was its highest grossing evening since it had opened under new ownership. So it was pretty successful for a one-night event. Later that same summer, we launched our first Blackberry Cobbler Festival. We had hoped to have 500 people come to visit Whispering Pines Resort, and we estimated over 1,000 came that day. And so we sold more T-shirts, and we sold Blackberry Sundays, and we sold beer and wine. No, we didn't sell them. What's the term? Beer and wine had been donated to the cause. We had to skip 2 years because of the shutdown, and then we came back in 2022 at a larger venue. It was at the Mountain Meadows Resort. We estimated around 3,000 visitors came to Cobb that day. And people wanted to know, why are we doing all these things? We have our Explore Cobb website that, as you can see, lists local resorts and businesses available. And if you look at the next page, I'm going to read you a long statement. It's the purpose of the Blackberry Cobbler Festival and really the purpose of our Economic Development Committee. It allows the Cobb Area Council to continue offering support to the people of Cobb as well as local businesses, artisans, and community organizations. The festival provides a platform for Cobb community organizations to raise money for their individual projects. We showcase local businesses and artisans. The festival encourages our local businesses to create events in conjunction with the festival to create a community-wide celebration of what Cobb has to offer. By attracting visitors to Cobb Mountain for one more weekend this summer, the Cobb Area Council comes closer to our community development goal to improve the local economy and improve visibility of the Cobb area to the rest of the county. And then we can also use these funds for that wildfire preparedness program that we'd already started. Another source of our total assets comes from a grant for which we applied that funded this report called Cobb Mountain Regeneration After Catastrophic Wildfire. This was a grant from the Federal Home Loan Bank of San Francisco. The HEAD grant was created for communities like ourselves recovering from disaster and ready to learn and grow from the experience. Our principal author was Elliot Hurwitz, and he was commissioned to do the research, write the report, and provide recommendations. One of the offshoots of this research was that we designed a low-interest loan program for our local businesses. Now, originally, it was intended just for Cobb business owners, but since the program is self-sustaining, as the loans are paid back, it seemed logical that we could open it up to the whole county. And that home loan program is managed by Jeff Lucas of Community Development Services. And the report, its recommendations, and information about the loan program are all available at cobbareacouncil.org, our website. Any questions so far? I didn't even stop for that. 725, the 725 item was some letters of report. Letters of support. This gives the Cobb Area Council the chance to support groups that are active throughout our community and the county. This gives us a communal gathering of voices to be heard by you, the Board of Supervisors. And in my opinion, it's the very fulfillment of our identity as an advisory council. We've written letters in regards to the County of Lakes USDA Service Forest Urban and Community Forestry Inflation Reduction Act grant. We've written letters in support of Friends of Boggs Mountain, the Cobb Mountain Lions Club, the Siegler Springs Community Redevelopment Association, and we've even written letters not just in support of, but letters to the County Office of Emergency Services. Because what the Cobb Area Council has become is a wonderful place to exchange information, and it's given us this collective voice. And from time to time, as you can see, we've been able to use it. After that, we have our committee reports. The committee reports towards the end of every meeting, and these are our current committees that we have in operation. The first one I've asterisked because it's not really a Cobb Area Council committee, although we were a liaison for this happening. The Firewise communities were brought to Cobb through the Cobb Area Council's actions. And Magdalena Hurwitz is our regional coordinator, and she's kept us well informed of the many groups throughout the county working to keep us all prepared for wildfire. She's pointed us in the direction of resources and many times provides the much needed space to meet and plan our next efforts. The Communications Committee, I have a radio there, that's for you, Mel. The Communications Committee is a very active committee. It's a volunteer radio network. Living in Cobb, you can count on the electricity going out, and with that go the phones and the electricity. And when you're in a fire-prone area, recovering from a disaster, that's probably the most frightening thing of all to me, is not being aware of what's going on and how will I be told if I need to be moving out. So we came up with this radio network. We use family radio services, just little walkie-talkies, and many of us have GMRS licenses. And every Wednesday night, we have check-ins throughout the entire community, and everyone gets used to using the radio. You don't have to know scanner code. You don't have to know what all the beeps and bells and buzzers mean. All you have to do is tune in on Channel 9, and if something important is going on, you're going to know about it. Meanwhile, you can rest knowing that somebody is listening and ready to pass on the word. It even came into play during the winter of 2021 when we had a huge snowstorm. It's the middle of the night, trees are falling, power's knocked out, electricity, trees are going through roofs, and then you hear on the radio someone calling, "Hey, I live here and a tree just went through my house and I can't call anyone. I can't call 911, I can't call PG&E. Can somebody help me?" Immediately someone answers back, "We're here, we're going to call them for you, and don't worry, help's on the way." In the middle of the night in a snowstorm. And so, yay, yay radios. Keep your radio on.
And people take shifts during
Oh.
active emergencies.
Yes, during active emergencies, I've even taken the shift from 2 to 3 o'clock in the morning, and you just, watch the scanner pages on Facebook, and now we have watch duty, so you're diligently watching that, looking at the Windy app to see which way the wind's blowing. And if it's necessary, you alert. Thankfully, we haven't needed to, but if it's necessary, you can alert the whole community of what they need to know about. And it just brings such peace of mind that you can actually get a couple of hours of sleep and know that you're not going to wake up in the middle of a firestorm. Another committee we have is the Forest Health Committee. Currently, Jake, I meant to point out that each one of these committees has one of us board members as a board liaison, as well as there's a chair and a set of bylaws. The Forest Health Committee was a direct result of the recommendations made from the study and the report that I mentioned earlier. One of their current projects is working to maintain the health of Kelsey Creek. They've offered some workshops, and that committee also was partnered with the pilot program for the air curtain burner that just finished. The Economic Development Committee, I kind of mentioned what we've already been up to in regards to how our budget grew so big. By the way, the Blackberry Cobbler Festival this year, if I didn't mention it, is August 26th, 2023. The committees phase in and out as needed. One of the committees that we had was somewhat of a watchdog group that monitored the cleanup of the Hoburg's Resort to make sure that that was appropriately cleaned up after the fire, because they had some other incidentals that needed to be taken care of, and they were slow to act. But with our nudging and prodding and watching and hopefully consulting, they were able to finish that up. And at this point, I wanted to give some special thanks to our community members, specifically the Mountain Lions of Cobb, because they provide us the space to gather at the Little Red Schoolhouse. I wanted to thank SSCRA for partnership in several projects, and especially for partnering with us throughout the pandemic. They provided our online and later our hybrid meetings with their Zoom account. Alan Hurwitz and Tom Stiles were providing video and microphone coverage for all of those hybrid meetings. There are many dedicated individuals who participate monthly. They're asking the important questions and giving support back to this community, and they're giving us the fuel to keep going, including Tom, who, he's even here today. Thank you, Tom, for your ongoing support and participation. You can always count on a handful of people to be there. Glenneth, he's the guy who's monitoring Facebook and the Zoom meeting at the same time. And Wendy Collins is always there to come up with some other new idea. I mean, Robert Stark, we love him, can't get enough of him. He's always there. And not to mention those representatives at the Lions Club that hang out because we are using their space. I also wanted to thank our family members. They support those of us who are sacrificing our time to volunteer in the service of our Cobb community. And I wanted to thank this board for granting us this opportunity to represent the good people of Cobb. We're just a handful of volunteers. As I mentioned, we all have our full-time jobs outside of this work that we do. And we do it because we love where we live. We care about our neighbors, and we really want to see our community thrive. We just want everyone to be in the know. We want to provide a place where concerns can be voiced and heard, victories can be celebrated, and real work can be done. So I'm grateful to be of service, and I know all of my fellow CAC board members feel the same. And thank you for letting us do this.
Thank you so much, Kathy, for everything that you do. And, Kathy also lost her home in the Valley Fire, and that is where the Cobb Area Council came out of. We wanted to find a proactive way to rebuild our community, regenerate, and that has been the mission statement. It only took a matter of a few months to put this group together when we decided that that's what we wanted to do. And you've been a part of it the entire time. I think you were the first alternate. Were you the first?
No, I was second.
Third
alternate.
Okay.
But there's Ron.
So she not only teaches, but she runs the show in Cobb, and really appreciative. If we didn't have volunteers like you stepping up, we wouldn't have made the progress that we have. So thank you so much.
Many hands.
Many hands. And there just hasn't ever been anything like this before, this level of collaboration. People used to move to the hills to get away from everybody. And after the fire, it broke down all those walls and brought everybody together. And it is a very eclectic, dynamic group that we just don't see. It's very rare and it's very precious. So thank you. And I don't know if anyone has any questions or comments from the board. Sounds like Supervisor Spatier may.
If I can get myself together here.
Oh, yeah. You made me think of something, but go ahead.
I'll let you speak to it. I have a feeling I might know what you're going to speak
Okay.
about. But it's just a question, and I don't have a town hall in the city of Clear Lake. There's obviously a city council for the area, so that's taken care of for the minutia of what's happening inside the city. One or two folks have approached me for the idea of a town hall, but not enough to necessarily say, let's go ahead and put a group together at this point in time. But do you ever connect with other town halls to see what they're doing? I'm just kind of curious, because I know it's healthy for us to leave the county
For
and
sure.
connect with other county officials. Do town halls have any collaboration or discussions or dialogue to kind of see if there's anything they can steal from one another or just bounce ideas off one another? Just kind of checking in.
Well, we were kind of born out of the Middletown area town hall. But I don't think there has been a formal relationship, but that's definitely, I think, an area we can improve upon. One of the things that we tried to do with our Economic Development Committee was reach out to business associations. So we've reached out towards Middletown Area Merchants Association and the Kelseyville Business Association, and that Explore Cobb CA Facebook page, which was for the first year administrated by Abby Lou Productions. They've really fostered an incredible relationship for promoting each other's local economies. But no, we haven't really formally reached out to the other town halls. The radio network, however, is growing by leaps and bounds. There's a network in the upper lake, I guess, the other side of the lake, that's modeling itself after what we're doing here. And we have this, a Hidden Valley contingency going on. So as far as emergency communications and what we can do there, that is definitely something that's spreading out, but it hasn't been through the town hall. But I think an area for growth. And I might also say, I was telling Tom before the meeting, this is not the first advisory council that I've been on. When I was a teenager in the city of Vallejo, I served on the Youth Activities Commission for 2.5 years. So, in fact, I went back to look online to see if there's anything in the archives. It doesn't go back to 1990, but, you know, City of Clear Lake might look into that.
But they're really, the town halls are really community-led.
Yeah.
And, you know, although supervisors are invited to speak and share at a certain segment, it is not something that, you know, we run or we do. It's,
You know, I was thinking about the City of Paradise. They sent a contingency to visit us.
right.
That soon after their fire, to see what kind of things we've been doing. And so it's really more like that shared identity that brought us together rather than any other form of collaboration. As former chair of the Cobb Area Council, Jessica Paiska, do you have anything else to add to that?
well, if you could just explain a little bit about the hub office. I know I
yeah.
took Supervisor Sabatier there once, but what what the resources
Yeah,
are there
I
and
think
how
I
it's-
skipped over those notes. Thanks for bringing it up. Yeah, so our hub is open a few days a week with, we have volunteers staffing it. And basically you could go there, you have probably every piece of wildfire preparedness literature available in California, as well as landscaping advice, you know, how to landscape appropriately and to make your home defensible space. And then we even have a tool lending library. There's this particular tool called a polar bear. I always say it with a southern accent. I don't know why, a polar bear. And it's this tool that's specifically designed for getting rid of the Scotch broom that's so invasive. It just rips it out by the roots. It's super easy to use. It comes in different sizes. So you could go there, you could sign it out and borrow it. You could also purchase a radio if you were wanting to be part of our volunteer radio network. We've also used this space for committee meetings. And I can't think now what else.
The disaster preparedness.
Yeah, all the disaster
storage is
preparedness.
there.
Yeah,
go bags, if anyone needs any of those things. And it's run by volunteers,
Completely. Or
staffed by volunteers.
staffed by volunteers.
A few days a week.
Yeah. There was a change in the schedule at some time back, so I'd had certain days memorized. Now I don't know what they are. I will have to look it up.
Thank you so much. Supervisor Crandall?
How recent was that meeting with the Paradise group?
It was maybe a year after the fire, so, their fire.
We did a tour around with them. They weren't really officially put together as an advisory council, but they reached out to the Cawberry Council for just some ideas, and so we
Well, it
did.
made a difference, because I went out there last month when, I think I talked about it in my report, Paradise, that group, they lost their, in their POA or whatever the case may be in that town, they had an actual golf course and then a golf store and stuff, like that. And now they do their town halls out of what used to be the golf store.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's a club, or it was a golf clubhouse, and then there's a store where they sell the disc golfs, and the disc golf area is like really sought out, and they have their town halls right there, and it's Paradise Town Hall, and I think that might have some connection. Yeah, it's cool.
I know, it had just come up in somebody's Facebook memories. Remember 2 or 3 years ago this happened? Time flies. I don't know how long it's been now.
Do we have any comments from the public?
Tom Slade, I didn't know whether to say anything or not. I don't think there's anything I can add to that, but as a Cobb resident since 1984, I think the word grateful is not too strong of a word to use for the Cobb Council, and I'll just leave it at that. And thank you, Jessica, as one of the founders. But anyway, thank you all.
Thank you, Tom. Anyone else in the chambers? I'm not sure. Let me check the Zoom room.
I was just going to add that this month, June, will be our first time using the PEG TV program. I can't get the whole mouthful now that I'm at the end of this, but so we'll be able to have our meetings Zoomed. We'll continue to do Facebook streaming live. They'll be, I guess, on the TV as well, which is frightening to me, be on TV. And then all these meetings will be uploaded to the county's YouTube channel and the PEG TV YouTube channel, and it's going to be fantastic. We're going to have microphones and cameras.
For the 7-year anniversary.
What's that?
It's a 7-year anniversary too in June.
Oh.
This month.
Okay.
Okay, so I don't see any hands up in the Zoom room. So I will just close public comment. If there's any final, Supervisor Green?
Yes, just wanted to thank you for coming and sharing this. Quite a lot to digest.
Yeah.
And it gives some good ideas what some of our other advisory councils might be able to tackle, but it also highlights you use a lot of volunteers, and you have special events, and you have a budget, and so and you have some gathering places, a sense of community, and some of our other areas may struggle with some of that. So I definitely am going to share this with our advisory council in Scotts Valley. We don't have many of those things, and we're still trying to find our way. We'll point out that this Sunday they're doing a Neighbor Fest event on the straightaway on Scotts Valley Road, so there would be some opportunity to network there. But I just want to highlight, I'm super, super impressed. And I'm also going, wow, how would I even begin to approach doing something like this with the community as it exists in my area? And I also want to thank Chair Pyska. I see her leadership has definitely paid dividends in CAC, and I think that will continue to yield good fruit for you. So super excited to see the community rally together and keep up that good work.
Thank you.
I think you can be not just developing your own community, but I think you can be advising other people around the county. And yeah, this is tough, but it can be done.
Time and effort.
Time and effort and a lot of great volunteers.
Yes.
Yeah.
A lot of them.
I just want to say, yeah, it's the volunteers, it's the boots on the ground. You know, everybody who's doing this. Obviously, we have our advisory councils in Middletown, and, yeah, it was neat to see the Cobb Area Council, you know, come to fruition. I attended some of the meetings up there, too. You know, I've been there for different items, sometimes good, sometimes bad, but I've been there. But all good stuff, great attendance. You know, the Little Red Schoolhouse there obviously is a place that, whether it's a disaster or anything else, people know that they can go. I've picked up PSPS packets there or other things at different times, so I think the coordination is great. I know you guys, even the Cobb, has, in the early on, had done some stuff down at the event center when everything was rebuilding down at Twin Pine, and, you know, so just great community event stuff, but can't tell you how much you're appreciated, all the volunteers that have helped throughout the years and throughout the county. So it is something we're always looking for community members on committees or other things like that, but it's the public folks that just step up when you need to step up. So thank you. You're much appreciated.
Thank you very much.
And everybody, I'm not,
You know, and
you're here on behalf of the Cobb area, so all of Cobb, thank you.
all of Cobb, and I feel like, again, oh, there's other people I should have mentioned. We do have this whole contingency of people who love Cobb that don't live here full-time, are part-time residents. This is their second home, their vacation home, or what have you. But even the Blackberry Cobbler Festival, there was a whole army of folks that came in, and, you know, even though this is their vacation, they came in, volunteered, and helped as much as they could. And they've stood by us through storms and fires and good times and bad, and they've been integral in our community, and they're the people we love.
They're welcomed by the community?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Go figure.
Well, and that's really one of the reasons why the hybrid meeting option continues, because there's so many people that own property but don't live there and they want to participate.
Yeah.
I also want to highlight a correlation to a lot of the names that you put up there, Magdalena, Elliot, all the folks, Tom, everybody, Lake County Risk Reduction Authority, all those same names you see at the Cobb Area Council have been from day one with the RA, whether just participants through their communities, their organizations, and they continue to do that with the Fire Safe Council, everything else. So those names
Yes.
are all over.
Yes.
And I'm glad some of them get to say no sometimes because they got enough on their plates. So, yeah.
Well, they sent me here, so.
Well, that is one of the wealths of Lake County, is our army of volunteers that show up over and over. So thank you, Kathy.
Sure.
Thank you for coming today.
Sure.
And
see you
good job
soon.
being the first one. Good job. They you set the bar pretty
Bar
high
is
there.
high
for
now.
our-
Thank you so much. Okay, so that is the end of our timed items. We can move on to 7.2, consideration of composition and activation of the Food Policy Council, and this is Supervisor Sabatier.
So there's not much to say that's not on the memo. We spoke about this a few weeks ago of creating this committee. This committee would be led by Blue Zones to create a Lake County food production program. Talked about revitalizing the Food Policy Council, and this is the proposed composition. So 2 Lake County farmers, local distribution, which I would suspect would only be NCO Food Hub, a grocery store, place of education, such as a school using school cafeterias, food bank, want to make sure to invite them, hospital, Lake County Farmers Market, Red Cross, and a Board of Supervisor, and I believe total is 11. It does seem like a large group, but I want to make sure that we have all of the potential actors that deal with food and food production.
And Blue Zones is facilitating?
Yes.
Okay. Looks like
And I'm
a good
sorry.
list.
I meant to, I thought I added 2 more.
Yeah, I counted 9.
So 9, I meant 11. I don't know how this ended up being the previous list. I'd like to have the Lake County Farm Bureau and our Ag Commissioner involved in this as well.
Okay.
I don't know how that slipped out of the final. Didn't even notice until just now. I know it was supposed to be 11.
11 agencies or
11 different members.
And how often do you want to have the meetings? Are they monthly or quarterly or what?
I would suggest a monthly, and that I hope that within, I think I put in there that within the next 6 months that we come back. No, it's not on there. I would hope that we come back by the end of December with a policy to present to the board to see if that's something that would be acceptable.
Okay, Supervisor Green?
Yeah, and I appreciate Blue Zone stepping up. But question, if we're working on forming policy and bringing it back to the board, is this council going to be a Brown Act body?
Yes, I would suspect so.
Yes.
And then, of course, anything that is created that would go through the vetting process prior to going to the board, that would be going through county council if there's any need to go through that that avenue, but making sure that whatever comes to the board has gone through its full process and not just a policy creating committee.
Okay, so then you want to open this up for applicants,
Yes.
and so maybe get started by July, or when do you want to bring, okay.
Yeah, I'd say open it up as of tomorrow if it would be approved today. Give it 2 weeks to get all the applications, and then by the end of June, getting them approved.
Supervisor Crandall?
Stephen had something, so I was just raising my,
So quick question, on the memo, we actually see 10 different possible council members, so if you add 2, it'd be 12, because at Lake County Farmer, there's 2 times 2.
Oh, I counted it wrong.
What is going on at this?
Just so there's clarification.
Hold on. I'm slightly embarrassed here.
you want to look at the summary?
No, I'm looking at what I sent last this way. That way I know that it's the last email I sent.
I know how you feel. It happened to me at Blue.
Ah,
Zone last
that's-
week.
Well, if it's a math question, I have a suggestion that we could double up on the food bank, just because we have 2. So we have 2 farmers. If we did 2 food banks, that would get you to 11? 13?
Because you added 2, so it's 12 technically right now.
I'm going to suggest 12. I think my 11 was without a board of supervisor, but I think I would like to continue having a board of supervisor on there. And I know that it's an even number, but I think it's up to the board to make the final decision in the long run rather than the policy. And I want to make sure, again, that all groups are represented in the conversation. So it would be 2 farmers, local distribution, grocery store, education, food bank, hospital, farmers market, Red Cross, board of supervisor, ag commissioner, farm bureau, and that's the 12.
Okay. Vice Chair Simon?
I didn't do the fingers correctly, but ignore that.
Yeah, I will throw it out there. You have the 7 local tribes here locally in the county that are run restaurants, going to be adding other stores here locally, I know, other things, food production. So anyway, you can make it 13.
You
and do
continued
1
my
seat per
embarrassment.
tribe. There you go. Sorry.
I don't know what happened to the list. This is bad. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So 11 and 12 would be the Farm Bureau and the Ag Commissioner, and 13 would be tribal. Absolutely. We talked about acorns and looking at historical sustainability of food, and that to me is a part of any food production policy that we need to look at moving into the future. Can't ignore that. So we talked about it last time, and thank you for bringing it up. Can't miss that one.
Okay, I will open it up for the public. Anyone in the chambers or in the Zoom room? Not seeing anyone. Okay, bring it back for action.
Madam Chair, with the 13 members of the composition of the Food Policy Council as described in our conversation, I move to approve the creation of the Food Policy Council.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, great. And 7.3, consideration of ordinance amending Section 2-3A.2, compensation of the Board of Supervisors, and Section 2-3B, trial and grand jurors of Article 1, Chapter 2 of the Lake County Code. This is admin. I don't know if you want to introduce it or if we're just going straight to Christine Hutt.
So for presentation on the admin side, it's Christine Hutt, Administrative Analyst 2.
Good afternoon, Board. As you know, that we've been working on the Lake County travel and reimbursement policy. And one of the things that we are requesting to be changed when we bring that before you is that we tie the mileage reimbursement rates to the State of California Controller's website. Now, while we were investigating and researching various things to put that policy and make the changes, we discovered that there were two sections within Article 1, Chapter 2 of the Lake County Code that actually names an amount of the mileage reimbursement rate for both the Board of Supervisors and for trial jurors and grand jurors. So what staff is recommending is that we amend the wording in those two sections to align with the travel and reimbursement policy. And this would then, of course, not make it we would then not have to come before you every year if the mileage reimbursement rate changes at the state level to again amend another ordinance. So we are requesting that that we waive the, we're requesting that you approve this as the first reading and advance the second reading of the ordinance to the next meeting.
And I did want to add one thing. The reason why we're bringing it now instead of at the same time as the travel policy is an ordinance takes 30 days to take effect, so this will take effect slightly after the new policy goes into effect. And there is one change on page 2 of the ordinance. County Council brought up that, page 3, where it says 3B.2 removed. I am being told we don't need that, so strike that from existence.
Completely removed?
Yeah. Because then it would show up in the ordinance as 3B.2 removed instead of just blank.
Oh, got it, okay. Supervisor Green?
Yeah, well, other than these two code references, anyone else working for the county, I guess it's assumed would be covered by the travel and reimbursement policy. So I guess my question would be, do we even need 3B1 or 3B1 and 3A2? I mean, if there's no other part of the code that calls out reimbursement, but we have a reimbursement policy that doesn't rely on a statutory reference, why do we need any statutory reference for either the board or the grand jury?
It provides for, possibly provides for better clarity, and although there is that possibility that one possible option is to completely repeal those sections under the ordinance. By referring it to the travel policy, then as Ms. Hutt has stated or elaborated on, if there are any further updates to the travel policy, then anyone looking at the ordinance can then refer to that, to the travel policy, even if there are any subsequent amendments to take place within that travel policy. Part of it is based on the history of this, because the travel, mileage and travel expenses have historically been addressed in these code sections for supervisors and grand jury members. So part of the consideration here is for ease of reference by just having it referred to the travel policy. If anyone were to look for any provisions related to travel reimbursement for grand jurors and members of the Board of Supervisors in the county code.
Well, I can tell you, just speaking for myself, the county code would be the last place I would go looking for a reimbursement rate. And I'm assuming that for any other employee of the county getting reimbursed by the policy itself is self-executing, probably was adopted by a resolution of this board, something like that. So I think full repeal probably is the more elegant solution. What's presented here today is acceptable too, but it just seems like if there's one policy good for everyone else in the county, I don't know that we need to treat the board or the grand jury differently.
Okay, do we have anyone from the public? I don't see any hands up, so we can bring it back to the board for action. I'm okay with it as written,
With the amendment.
with the amendment, correct?
If there's no further conversation, Madam Chair, I move to approve the ordinance, title only.
Oh, yes, if I may. So the motion would be to approve the first reading of the ordinance as amended to be read in title only, and then after that, the clerk of the board would read the title.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
All right, it's an ordinance amending section 2-3A.2 and 2-3B of Article 1, Chapter 2 of the Lake County Code.
And I move to have the second reading of the ordinance be on June 13th, 2023.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hey, thank you so much. Thank you, Christine.
Thank you.
Now, our last public item is calendars. Who is ready to start? Supervisor Spatier?
So I think that I won't say it, but I hope that I can meet with our economic development, Ben, I need to really memorize his last name. Rickelman, yes, Mr. Rickelman, so hopefully I'll have a chance later today to do so. Tomorrow, our APC meeting, including a ribbon cutting over on Highway 29. We have imagined how that might look like. I'm sure it'll be very different than what we proposed, but that's exciting to see all of the road construction stuff slowly disappearing, and the traffic being able to flow through that area nonstop. I am meeting with the Continuum of Care in the afternoon to review some of our bylaws that we're looking to change, to tighten things up a little bit. And then also meeting, there's an agency for, I want to say public relations that the city of Clear Lake has hired, and I'll be speaking with that agency on what I see when I look at Clear Lake. Meeting with having the judges' breakfast on Thursday morning, moving on to a technology governance group, and I don't have it on here, but at 10 a.m. having a meeting with the Lake County Gleaners on Thursday, and then also joining Hope Rising for a CHIP review, community health improvement policy, whatever program, whatever the P stands for. On then having a lake continuum of care meeting a little bit further that day as well for strategic planning. Then on Friday, I have a treasurer, tax collector committee meeting with mixed with the city of Clear Lake as well, and I guess I'm meeting with Supervisor Crandall and Director Nemeth from the California Department of Water Resources. Is that still on?
Yeah.
Okay. And doing that as well on Friday. There's something going on Saturday, but I forget what's going on Saturday. And then right now, pretty clean on my Monday, other than meeting with our CAO. I guess I'm going over financials as we prepare for our budget. And I don't believe our budget is available at this time. I haven't received an email about that.
It came through today,
Yeah,
right?
she
Is
sent
it came
out.
through today and I just haven't seen it yet?
I thought Sarah sent it out yesterday.
Was it yesterday? I saw it on mine today, so.
Yeah, 8:20 this morning. Gotcha. Tuesday, not a good day for emails. Okay, so I'll be reviewing that over the weekend. That's it for me.
Yes, so I'll start out with last week, or the week before, actually, the Army Corps tour. Army Corps of Engineers came out about, to discuss the Middle Creek restoration. They brought a team of folks from the agency. They got here at like 10. We had like a briefing beforehand and then toured the actual area. I was their tour guide and rode with them so they didn't get lost. And we went to actually a lot of different spots as opposed to the tour we made in 2019 with Congressman Garamendi and others. So it was really productive. We had like basically an after action review afterwards and just went through a lot of different action items to move forward on. There'll be, I think there was a meeting today, right? Didn't we talk about that yesterday at the Middle Creek meeting?
Yeah, every Tuesday is what they're looking at.
So they chose Tuesdays, but hey, you know, we'll do what we can. We're just glad that they're paying attention to our restoration project. After that, the Thursday, I had the Blue Ribbon Committee meeting and the Recreation JPA. Not too much coming out of those except for Blue Ribbon. The proposals basically passed, and then the Recreation, we just had discussions, right? Just continued discussions. Fast forward to this Saturday that just passed, spaghetti feed at the Lucerne Alpine Senior Center. It went really well. It was well attended. The folks in Lucerne and a lot of seniors were there, and they were really happy. So it was a good fundraiser. Played a lot of Louis Prima and ate some spaghetti. It was pretty good. You know, I didn't get a chance before the meeting, we had the Clash Against Trash, and I wasn't able to give the actual number. It was 18.2 tons in Lucerne that was dumped at that place. So pretty good. So, you know, thank you to the Waste Solutions for helping us out with that, and then also, of course, Central Region Town Hall and Dan DeBonis. Contributions from Kenny as well with the buttons and stuff. So this week, tomorrow, I have a meet and greet with the CPUC representative, Seguenza. Didn't get the name. Earth in the evening time. Then Thursday, Farm Ranch Rural Communities Federal Advisory Committee, Water Energy Nexus Ad Hoc Committee meeting, South Deal at 11, and then Area Agency on Aging, which I think just got canceled, right?
Yeah, I couldn't.
And so then Friday, NACO Leadership, and then our Water Resources meeting. Saturday, there is the Lucerne Cleanup Day at with Water Resources at the Lucerne Harbor. Basically, folks will be given the opportunity to, I think it starts at like 8 or 9, and folks will be given the opportunity in the community to go out and collect garbage and bring it back to that site. So it's not just at the harbor, it's throughout the whole community. So that'll be a really good follow-up after the Clash Against Trash, right? Monday, CAO meeting, and then Central Region Town Hall second meeting next Monday. And that'll be at 6 p.m. at the Lucerne Alpine Senior Center. So that's what I have until the board meeting next week.
Go ahead.
And just real quick, I was gone in our previous meeting. I was in Page, Arizona, in Coconino County, where there was a economic mobility leadership network convening. Coconino County did a great job of touring us around. Some of the highlights was definitely using our parks and trails as an economic development factor. They talked a lot about the need for the relationships between tribal government. Navajo Nation is quite a large area of Coconino County, and county government and state government and all of the above. Had some great conversations with their sheriff. I did not know that their sheriff was Sheriff of the Year in the United States, and that some of the programs that he's running seem to be quite amazing programs, and definitely sent all of that information over to our sheriff to see if there was any interest in that. Did receive some information, and I know that right now we are working on that application, which is free 2.5-year economic development fellow from the International Economic Development Corporation. And so hopefully by being in the EMLN, and EMLN being some of the reason why that's even available, that will get us at a higher level score to being able to access a fellow. And this fellow, we can even have people locally, if they fit the category, to become hired as a fellow. So we can even use our own community members if we wanted to as well. So the whole thing seemed like a really good asset for us to utilize as we continue to grow what the county is doing to focus on economic development, and I'll keep it as short as that.
Okay. Who's ready down here?
I can go. First, thank you, Supervisor Sabatier. Last week, there was a COC meeting that jumped off my calendar somehow, and I appreciate you stepping in there. And I know there's some stuff going on, so if there's special meetings or that, please let me know if I can assist in any way. Tonight, I'm going to go to Lakeport City Council, get a first look at their budget. That's my warm-up, because I know we're going into budget hearings next week, and that's going to be a process. So a little refresher at the city level is always good. Tomorrow, Children's Council in the afternoon, it looks like. I do see a COC meeting on the 8th, it looks like, in the afternoon, if that's right. So if that is right, I'll...
Yeah, 3:30.
Except I also have a 4 o'clock for Mental Health Advisory Board, so the committees are fighting for my attention. And they're meeting in Lower Lake this month.
And just to let you know, the Continuum of Care is a strategic planning working group. It is not the Continuum of Care general meeting. So
All right,
just
so
if that helps you to
I can
decide.
do mental health. Okay, let me do that. So I'll be doing that. I'll be taking some meetings on Friday with constituents. Saturday, Lake County Home Wine and Beer Makers Festival. I know the emphasis is on wine on the banner, but I'm all about the beer. So I will be there saying hi to all our good winemakers and all that, but I'll also be cheering for the beer if you're a beer maker. Sunday on the 11th, it's not an advisory council event, but we are having a neighbor fest in Scotts Valley at, I guess, what is called a watering hole. So I haven't done that. I think that came with the grant. That event's being sponsored by NCO. So I'll be out there checking that out. Monday, meeting with CAO Parker. Probably going to tune in a little bit. Department of Cannabis Control is doing some outreach to local agencies. And then I'm going to be reading some budget stuff over the weekend, it looks like, too. And that's about what I got.
Okay, finishing up the meetings, just, I just want to highlight, obviously, the graduations that started here in Lake County. The educators, our educators do such a great job preparing our next generations, whether it's from preschool to kindergarten, pre-K, whatever, as they move through. I know we have so many people that contribute their lives to just preparing the next generation. So I want to thank all of our educators, Lake County Office of Education, all the way through there. And also just want to thank, or best wishes to all of our graduates. As we go through these graduations, we see the next generation, people who will be leading this country, leading this county, and it's great to see. And they're all in so many different directions, whether entering the workforce, going to a vocational school, just showing support for these folks. So, and also into the military. So we had Memorial Day last week, and we talked about that, with those, that the next generations are doing what they need to do. Freedom is not free, and we continue to have young folks step up, enjoying the armed services. So just want to say that because it's much needed, and it's great to have the in-person graduations. We had the hiccup there for the 1 year with the world pandemic, so it's just good to see everybody getting back together and that next generation of folks, young people just moving forward. So, and then you got graduation parties, everything else that fall along with that. So that'll be happening over next week. Tonight, I know there was a Lower Lake Action Committee. They moved their meetings to the Tuesday. I'm not going to make that. I do have, we started a little spring football thing this week, so I got that. Tomorrow, we got LTA APC. We also have the ribbon cutting for the Canuck corridor, which is really cool. It's only the first section. Tomorrow we need some more money to finish the whole thing. So, on Thursday, South Deal Committee meeting, then the Geothermal Advisory Committee meeting, and then the Middletown Area Town Hall. Sheriff Howell's going to be there. Obviously, they're on the agenda too is to talk about the 10-year road plan that we just, pavement plan, update, everything. So that's going to be on there on Friday. We back with the CAO, at least a meeting there, and then continuing on, I have an out-of-county graduation I need to attend for a family member, and then back here on Monday. So that's what I do have. I did have a call yesterday with our auditors for the RRA and also the AVA, kind of finishing up those. Chloe Ziegler, I think her name was. Chloe, met with her each year. I should get that Zabrick. I apologize. And so I had those, had the calls yesterday, and so we'll be moving forward with those. So that's what I have for this week.
Okay, I have a couple things to report on. On the 25th of May, Cal OES and Cal Fire came up from Sacramento to spend a field day working on the assessment for the home hardening program. And so we looked at 2 houses, and the director of that JPA program came up, and we had some really great conversations about home insurance. It was the day after that we had our conversation here. And the day before, we heard of a big moratorium happening in California with one of the insurers. So it's, you know, that program might be a lot more useful to us as we look holistically at our county, but these houses are going to be some of the first to be insured under some of the programs that were discussed during that meeting. So that was exciting. You married somebody, and I got to marry somebody too. So that was fun.
Perks.
Yes, but you're not allowed to get paid. So I got to marry somebody in the chambers, one of our staff members. That was really exciting. And the biggest news is that we were awarded, the Risk Reduction Authority was awarded $649,000. The Lake County Office of Climate Resiliency, that was Terry, who worked on the grant with the RCRC and Megan McClure. And this money will go towards embedding diversity, equity, and inclusion values and actions in the RRA leadership, membership, and processes, assess vulnerabilities across the entire county, and developing a climate adaptation plan, a CAP, and implement specific actions identified in Lake County's hazard mitigation plan, enhance public education and awareness of natural hazards and public understanding of disaster preparedness, countywide evacuation plan, climate adaptation plan, and fund administrative support for the CCRO. That is our climate resiliency officer. Originally, when we wrote that grant, we wrote it, that position to have an assistant, and so this is more support for that position. It's part of the grant that she writes, or it's one of her grant requirements that fund her position is to write several grants, and so this was another successful grant. Really excited. And then the RRA will also be supported, and we'll have engagement tracking process and documenting project outcomes. So we're really excited. We had a follow-up interview a few days before this was released, and so it was our climate officer, Terry, and our community development director, Maria, and I can't remember who else was on that final interview, but obviously we did great because we got that awarded, and I'm really, really excited. It's going to be a big game changer for us.
Just along with that board, thank you for the support.
Yes.
I know we've been going along, but we're getting it together.
We are getting it together. So tomorrow I have agenda review, and then at the same time, so I'll have to do agenda review really quickly. We are preparing for our Soda Bay multi-agency meeting. We are having, through the evacuation grant that we were awarded for the Soda Bay corridor, we're doing a multi-agency tabletop drill, and so we're having a prep meeting for that. And then there is a strategic planning meeting for our RRA.
The 23rd.
Yes, but tomorrow morning at 9:30, if you want to be a part of it.
I'm at the LTA and the APC meeting tomorrow morning, and the SAFE.
Yes, I know, there's a lot going on. So I'll do that, and then I'll meet you at the ribbon cutting and let you know I'm going to have to miss the bi-weekly meeting for home hardening. And then, yeah, a lot of driving around. And then Thursday, I'm going to have to miss the Fire Safe Council meeting. I'm going to meet with the Gleaners with you. And then the geothermal meeting in Middletown. And then I'll be at Kelseyville High School, the senior awards night, giving out awards to K-Corps, which is something I've been passed down to do, and I love to be there and support those kids, and we'll have a proclamation next week. And then Friday, I am also going to miss your tax collector, the tax collector meeting, but I think you guys got it covered.
I got it handled.
You got it handled. I'm going to be at Reynolds Systems with Director Turner and Ben Rinkelman. And then we have our Soda Bay corridor evacuation route planning meeting, which is a couple hours, and again, multi-agency, a lot of people will be there. So our staff meeting for Hazard Tree will need to be rescheduled. I don't know if Scott is listening. And then budget over the weekend. Monday, I'm meeting with CAO. I thought I had something else on Monday, but I think that's it. And that's all I have, and that... Yes, I have a meeting with you. What time?
Sometime after 2.
After 2? All right, I'm going to put you in before I forget again. Yes. And, I just encourage everybody to have their time with Stephen for budgets. It's so important. He helps you go through it all, Michael, and Supervisor Green, and gives you all kinds of information to prepare you for budget hearings. So that is it
Madam
for...
Chair, can I announce something?
Yes.
I forgot to, and I'm glad Moak brought it up, to congratulate all the Upper Lake High School students, along with all the other students who graduated in the county. I just highlight that because it's the high school in my district. So, but I also would be remiss to not mention this about one of the students, Maddie Young. She lettered in soccer, wrestling, basketball, so those are simultaneous. Softball and track, all at the same time. And I made a comment they need to do a commercial, like a Bo Jackson type of thing, because she plays every sport. She's committed to UC Davis and also was playing AAU basketball at the same time. So just, I had to talk about that because that's a lot of sports. I know in my day we weren't allowed to play football and soccer or, any other sport, track and baseball. You had to just commit to one. And so it's nice to see that sports in the county folks are actually, or coaches are allowing that type of thing. So I just had to say that. There was a good article in the Record Bee about her as well, so I just wanted to mention that.
All right, thanks for that. We have 2 closed session items. We'll be moving into that section. 8.1, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9 D1, FERC project number 77, Potter Valley Hydroelectric Project. And 8.2, conference with legal counsel, significant exposure to litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9 D2 E1, 2 potential cases. Thanks for joining us, and that is it for our open session today.